my people, how do we find and evaluate commercial properties for purchase? Hi, I'm Amy Calandrino, and I'm coming to you with your latest Beyond Your Space Needs. There's a few things that you want to think about when you're evaluating commercial property. First of all, you really need to think about your criteria. Where do you want to be? How much do you want to spend? How soon do you want to make the acquisition? These are things for you to think about. Also, it's very important you understand where are you buying. You need to look in the psychographics and the different consumer spending patterns or its proximity to schools or other places of education or worship or otherwise. You need to have an understanding of what is in the market. Depending on your type of business, whether it's office, industrial, retail, those types of things, or you're buying it for investment purposes, and whether this would be a site that tenants would want to lease, and therefore decreasing your vacancy and increasing your NOI, thereby increasing your investment value. Another thing for you to think about is perhaps looking to engage a commercial real estate professional. I can't tell you how many people come to us and their calls are not being answered by other agents. We at Beyond Commercial are very careful about who we work with on the buy side to make sure that they are financially prepared for a purchase as well as have a full understanding. And so when we call other brokers, they answer. So you have to understand a lot of times as a listing broker, you're absolutely inundated with requests to purchase or lease the property. And so not always can the listing agents get a hold of everyone, but if they know with 100% certainty that someone has a good qualified buyer, then they tend to return the calls. Another thing to think about is to search for properties and get an idea of what the inventory is. However, do be aware that search sites like LoopNet are paid for. So a broker like myself, I put all my listings into CoStar and then I pay a fee to put it over to LoopNet. If a broker chooses not to send that over to LoopNet for whatever reason, maybe they're out of seats on their plan or otherwise, you could be missing out on opportunities. I've found on average about 50% of the listings that are in CoStar are not on LoopNet. And keep in mind that between LoopNet and CoStar, which are related to each other, about 98% of commercial real estate transactions transact. Now, we have about 16 other systems that we utilize, and we will find something from time to time there, but most everything we find is within CoStar. So another thing you want to do is screen the property. I find often on investment properties, if you look at the criteria that the listing agent used, perhaps they are using a cap rate that's not applicable for that submarket, or perhaps they are not including a vacancy and collection percentage in relation to their NOI, or it's just overpriced or what have you. I have the market knowledge, as would any other commercial real estate broker who is experienced, to vet that and kind of re-underwrite the property and educate you on what a good offer price would be. And so that's, again, screening the property, doing a financial analysis, and looking into what the expense, and are the assumptions fair? Maybe someone is only using $50 a year or $50 a month for repair and maintenance. Is that really feasible? Especially if maybe it's a $5 million purchase. You need to look at that. As far as also acquiring property, you're going to want to do due diligence. Over my decade plus in commercial real estate, I would put together a pretty lengthy due diligence list of items to request, but some of those items I'll share with you will include financial statements, any pendency of potential litigation, or other things you may want to ask. You want to ask for a certificate of insurance, especially here in Florida, because the easiest way to find insurance is to go to the current insured and see if they want to continue to insure that property. You're going to want to look at comparables in the market to evaluate whether this is actually a good opportunity or not. And often to have access to that insider information as to what it trades, you are going to need someone who has access to CoStar or Reonomy or another service that often requires a lengthy subscription period. When you're also buying commercial real estate, you want to think about your financing options and whether you want to raise private equity or whether you're looking to get the money from the bank. These are all different options, and you can weigh the positives and negatives of the acquisition of the capital, but depending on your particular situation. You also want to, when you acquire property, consult with professionals. These will include CPAs, attorneys, of course, a commercial real estate broker if you so choose. Sometimes you may want to rezone property, and that will require a land use attorney. So there's a multitude of professionals you should consider when looking to acquire property. The last two steps in acquiring commercial property is, of course, negotiating the offer. And so finding out, maybe price is most important and you have a budget. And so then putting together an offer that maybe overcomes the challenges of your price maybe not being as competitive by reducing the due diligence period or otherwise making it a palatable offer. This is when market experience could come in handy. And the last and most important step is, of course, closing the deal. And so that is putting the appropriate remaining money into escrow and working with the title professionals to paper the deal, get the title insurance and anything else that's required to close. And then, of course, you'll be getting the keys and ownership of the property. But that is the steps in a nutshell to evaluating and acquiring commercial real estate property. If me or my team can ever be a resource to you, please let us know. We can be reached at hello@beyondcommercial.com or at 407-641-2221.